started. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm here to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is money. And I would say it's in the bucket of keeping more money, right? Because we make money, we work so hard to make our money, and we work smart to make our money, and we need to be smart in keeping our money. And I worked directly with Ashley when I met her a couple of years ago. I hired her to come in and help me with my books because I spent like a month trying to get my taxes together for my CPA, and it was grueling, like grueling to do that. And then I'd started another business and knew right away I didn't want to have to go through that every year for finding receipts and all of that. And that's not normally my MO. Like with my personal taxes, I always have everything ready for the CPA. I can get it to them early in the year, not a problem. But for some reason, I didn't adopt that with my business, and I just wasn't preparing and keeping up on things like I needed to. So this is a great subject that we're talking about today, which is really about how you keep your books up to date, in the new year. And I love that she's doing it in January because it's going to show us how to, what we need to do. And she's going to teach us a lot today on how to do it, because she did teach me how to do my books, but it's just not an area that I want to spend energy in. I'm just going to be honest. I would rather be holding events like this. I would rather be out there talking to people, speaking on podcasts, working with my clients, and not running my numbers through, spreadsheets and QuickBooks and all that kind of
All
stuff.
that fun stuff.
All that fun stuff that does not light me up, but lights Ashley up. So that's all
Okay.
good. And yeah. So we still have some ladies coming in, but Ashley, why don't you go ahead and get started? Tell them a little bit about you. And as for those of you that are maybe joining us for the first time, this is a platform that we utilize to bring our members forward, for them to be able to share what it is that they do, have a platform for them to be able to educate, motivate, and inspire you in areas of your life, whether it be personal or business. As you can tell, we have every area covered. Last week, we talked all about health. We were talking about boobs last week and all kinds of stuff on bras and,
I can promise you we're not talking about that today.
right. Although it's a fun category to talk about, I'm going to be honest. We have to, like Missy is really in the area of, health as well. And the things that we surround ourselves with in our homes, the types of products we buy, these are all important, right? Life doesn't just exist around your business, but we want to make sure we cover every area. So that's the beauty of Lead Up for Women and the members here, is they have genius in all these different areas to come in every week and teach us. So Ashley, thank you for being here. You're such a good friend of mine. I value our time together. I value your expertise in this area. So I'll let you go ahead and take the floor.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. And I love you too, Colleen. I'm so glad that I get to be here and just hopefully help somebody better understand their finances so that they can make better decisions going forward for 2022. Because that is all that I can want for somebody, is for them to make great decisions in their finances that boost their business and get them going for the year. So just a little bit about myself. I am Ashley Schmitz. I own H. Benny Bookkeeping, and I have 4 tiny humans. I have been married for almost 12 years. I've been running my business for 6 years now. And it just really lights me up. I'm a veteran of the United States Army, whereas actually I met my husband in basic training. And I really take all of those values that I learned in the military, the integrity, the honor, all of the things that come with learning from being in the military. I take that into my daily life and my business, especially. Because I just love what values that they hold, and I make sure that my life holds those values also. So I'm going to be talking today about all things finance for your business, things that you can look back for 2021 and how to make proactive steps into 2022, into making sure that you have your finances straight, make sure that you are able to utilize your money as best as possible and make your money work for you. I think the biggest thing is that people need leverage on their money. And when you know what's going on in your finances and you know where you're spending money, where it's not beneficial for you, where it is beneficial for you, and diverting money into different places, I think is something that everybody could definitely use. So we will get started. Today, I want to first start with business banking. When you are a small business, and this actually just came up in a group that I'm a part of this morning. So, as a business, you do not want to be piercing the corporate veil. And what I mean by that is when you're getting paid for your business services, whether it's products, whatever you're doing in your business, the services that you're providing, you want to be being paid into your business account. It is a huge no-no to be taking Zelle payments into your personal account when you are working. It opens you up personally for tax audits. And if you've ever been through a tax audit, you never want to go through one. If you've never been through one, imagine the worst case of hell, and that's what a tax audit is. You don't want to go through it if you do not have to. And there's really no reason why people should have to if you know what's going on in your finances and you're making the right decisions. You need an expert CPA that can file your taxes and know where to put things on those tax lines. But then you need a great bookkeeper throughout the year that knows how to use your chart of accounts to make the best numbers look for your CPA. One thing that I love doing for clients is making sure that their reports are ready by the end of January so that you can honestly give it to your CPA. They're much happier because they can get your things done without extensions. You know what your tax bill is or what your tax bill is not. And then you can go on with your year without having to stress about those things from the past. Nobody wants to live in the past. But back to business banking, making sure that you're taking those payments into your business checking account. And then to that same extent, not paying for your personal expenses out of your business checking account. You're wanting to keep those two things separate. You want to keep your personal and your business completely untouching. You as a small business owner, if you're a single member LLC, if you are a solopreneur, you can just transfer money from your business to your personal. And you have to track that as an owner's draw. But in that, that's how you pay yourself. That's how you can pay for your personal expenses, because we all got into business to be able to fund our lifestyle. So making sure that you are paying yourself is absolute high priority. Profit first, baby, profit first. You want to make sure you are paying yourself first, but you want all of that income to come into your business checking. In that, I will just touch on merchant fees, and I will give a hard truth to it's a product of doing business. It is just something, unfortunately, that we all have to pay for. And if you know your numbers, if you know clients are going to be paying you through a merchant provider, and you're going to have that percentage that you have to pay, figuring out your prices to make sure that you are making the right amount of money, budgeting for those expenses, because that is an expense for your business, and making sure that you are still making the amount of money that you want to. When you know your numbers, you can manipulate to make sure that you are making the amount that you want to make and accounting for those business charges. The next thing is your receipts. When you are, as a business, you need to be keeping your receipts, whether you are getting them electronically, keeping them in your email in a folder. That's what I like to do. 99% of my receipts come in an electronic form. So I keep them in my Google folder. I also use a software called HubDoc, and I keep all of my stuff organized in an online organizational system called HubDoc. So I put it there. And then I also, if I ever have any paper receipts, I make sure that those paper receipts get into a little folder for the year. And then on year 8, I like to start off my summer with a bonfire of burning all of my documents that I don't have to keep anymore. Because who doesn't like to party and know that you're done with a year that you don't have to remember about anymore?
Yeah,
So,
I want to ask a question around that because
yeah.
I never know how long I have to keep receipts, and in my for my business and for my personal, I have like boxes and boxes of receipts and stuff. So if I'm uploading them all in HubDoc and they all exist in there, do I physically have to keep the little paper receipt?
I would say yes, keep them for the 7 years. I keep them in a box. I keep it in my office closet. But then year 8, I do a bonfire. So I will throw all my stuff in our fire pit year 8 on, and then I'll get rid of all of it because, well, I don't want to keep anything that I don't have to. I like to declutter my house. So I get rid of it on year 8, but I would say rule of thumb, keep it just in case. Although the whole reason for using some form of a software and taking a picture and keeping it in an electronic software is because those things fade. Receipts that you get for gas or things of that nature, they do fade. So it's always great to have a good backup. And honestly, if you get an audit and they ask for your receipts, if you do have all of them in an electronic format, most of them won't ask for the paper copy of it. But it's just a good rule of practice to have your paper copies just in case. So I definitely keep all of those things. So I keep it all and then I throw it away year 8. So yes, with receipts, making sure that you're keeping them in some form of an electronic platform, even if you're just scanning them in and you have them on a hard drive. I know that was something of the past that people used were hard drives. So making sure that you have them in a safe place so that if you ever do get an audit, you can bring them back up to, it is an app, Missy. HubDoc is, and feel free to unmute yourself, but HubDoc is an app that I use for clients and for myself also, but it's just an electronic filing cabinet. And so there's an app that you can download on your phone. You can have it connected, like you can log in on the internet, and you can actually forward from your email to HubDoc. You can forward email receipts so that so it just uploads them automatically. You still have to process them. Like I organize them for clients and put them in what folders so that it's easier for people to get back to if they need it. But HubDoc is just an app that you can, it's a paid subscription, but as a business, you can put that in your subscriptions that you put as expenses for your business. So it's amazing. A useful tool.
I highly recommend it to every single person on here. Why I like it is because when I'm out somewhere or when I grab receipts and throw them in my purse, I'll pull them out like once a week. Then I just write on it and, or write on it when I get it at the moment, like who I was with that night and why it's a write-off or whatever. Then I just take a photo of it and throw it in a folder.
Yeah.
And then I just upload those, I upload all those receipts like once a week or every other week into, online, in whatever download receipts I download. So I'll download receipts that come in my email. I save them into a folder. So all my receipts for HubDoc just go directly in there from my app. But then I save the receipts that I download, and upload them in the HubDoc. And then from there, of course, Ashley takes it from there and processes them. But then you would take it from there and process it in QuickBooks. It's that easy so that you have everything in one place. I like to stay really organized. And this helps me just keep it moving. So I still have to do my part, but it keeps things moving so seamlessly for me throughout the year, and I never get behind. It's just like a once a week thing that I do. So if we get in the habit of that, which all of those of you that are in my community and part of my book club that we run every week, our next book that we're going to be doing is Atomic Habits. We're going to be talking about habits and how important they are. So exciting. So exciting.
Yeah. And I mean, the great thing about all of that, because all of it seamlessly talks to each other when you work it the right way, is I always think about the risk of an audit, if you're going to be in one, how to make it more streamlined and easier to deal with. And when you're using a system with your receipts, you're putting it in there, you're processing it, you're using a software like QuickBooks, and then you have your bank account synced to QuickBooks, a transaction comes through, the receipt touches the transaction, you process the transaction, you reconcile your bank account, you've got all your documentation in one place so that if there is an audit, it's easy to give it to them and just say, here you go, here's all my proof. Have a great day. And that's how I'd like to think that I would be dealing with the IRS, but it'd probably be a little more touchy than that. But in reality, at least everything's touching and talking to each other. So hopefully it would be a little more seamless and a little less stressful for the business owner when you're going through it. But on to that is softwares that I like to use for small business owners. I am a huge preacher of do not use Excel. You can manipulate things. It's not a real way that if you're presenting to the IRS in an audit, you can manipulate it. There's no real structure behind it. And you're still having to give your bank statements. You're still having to give all of these different things to the IRS. So if you have everything in a software that you are then doing the steps to be compliant with the IRS of processing those receipts, attaching them to the transactions, reconciling your bank account to your bank statements, having all your ducks in a row will make it much easier to deal with an audit. And it also makes you less at risk. When you're doing things the right way, it makes you less at risk to deal with an audit, period, because you have all your ducks in a row, you're doing things the right way. So it doesn't feel shady, I guess is the way to put it. So making sure that you're using some form of an accounting software. I'm a huge fan of QuickBooks Online. It's my favorite software actually to use. There are other softwares that you can use, but for me, that's the software that I find is the most useful for most small business owners in their practice to be able to do all of the things that small business owners need to do, because there are a lot of other things that you can do in QuickBooks. It's not just transactionally. If you have inventory, you can track it. If you have invoicing you need to do for your clients, you can do it. If you have employees, you can run payroll. When it comes to that time of year when you're having to do your W-2s and your 1099s, you can process them through there. I like to think of a real one-stop shop of being able to use all of the things that you as a small business owner need to have. So making sure that you can process everything in one place is very important to me. But then to that, as a small business owner, depending on the business that you have, making sure that you have policies and procedures in place is the next thing that I really recommend to clients. Having those contracts with your clients, if you're a service-based business, making sure that there are clear-cut boundaries with them as to how you as a business owner operate, what are your expectations, what are their expectations, making sure that all of that stuff is lined out. But you can have those policies and procedures set up for your business, and then you can utilize those softwares that you put in place to run your business smoothly. So those are things that I like to recommend for clients, making sure that they have all of that stuff set up, because we all got into business to make money. We didn't get into business to not make money. So making sure that you have a way to collect that money and that you have a policy in place to get money is, I think, very crucial to people. The next thing, so there are a couple of things that I want people to be able to look out for. And if you do have accounting software set up, but you are doing it yourself, there are just some things that I think you should look out for that you can quickly go to right now, be able to see if this is something that you need some help with. But your balance sheet, when you are doing your finances, there are in a software, there is the ability for you to pull reports. You should not in your liabilities, you really shouldn't have negative numbers. So if you have negative numbers, then opening balances weren't put correctly in, and you're not reconciling so credit cards are really what I look for. First off, when I'm starting with a client is what kind of liabilities do you have on your balance sheet? Because your balance sheet consists of your assets, your liabilities, and your equity, making sure that your liabilities are set up correctly, because those are all your debts, making sure that all of that's set up correctly, that you have a beginning balance, that you're connecting those with statements, that you're making the payments to them in your books, and making sure that things balance out to your statements so that you are able to see. So that's the first place that I recommend people look if you're not using somebody, making sure that your balance sheet is set up correctly. The next place is your income statement. Your income statement to me can never be too detailed, because as a business owner, when you're looking at your income statement, which is also your profit and loss, but I like to call it an income statement. When you're looking at your income statement, you really want to make sure that you are detailed in it. You want to know, not only am I spending $3,000 a year in subscriptions, but what subscriptions am I using? I want to know that I'm using Keep, that I'm paying for QuickBooks, that I'm using Canva. All of these subscriptions that you're using, you want to make sure, A, that you're utilizing them, and B, if you're not, stop paying for them. Let's get more money in your pockets, because it's really easy for people. And I'm a victim. I'm not a victim of it, but I'm what's the word I'm looking for? I've done it before, like everybody else, where you sign up for a subscription. What, Dawn? You've got the word.
I'm guilty of it.
Guilty. There you go.
Guilty of it.
I'm
Yeah.
guilty of doing it where I sign up for a subscription. I use it. I sign up for the free trial of something. I'm like, oh yes, I love this. And then I figure out, well, I'm not a creative. Why am I paying for Canva? And then 6 months go by and you've been paying $12.99 a month for something that you're not utilizing. If you have your stuff broken down and you're able to see, oh, I'm still paying $12.99 to this. Not only do you have a bucket for all of the amount that you're paying for subscriptions, but then it's broken down into which subscription you're paying for, which then has its overall bucket. And then I also like to run my income statement on percentages of income so that I can see I'm making this much money, I'm paying this much money to advertising, to payroll, to subscriptions, to my cost of services for my clients. And I like to make sure that percentage wise, I'm staying in different percentages to my income so that I'm not overspending in certain places. And if I am overspending, where do I need to pull money from to be paid into other places? So that's the thing that I like to do. It's one thing that I do provide for clients is the percentage overall. And I really have enjoyed this year pulling the year-end statements for percentages so that they can really see and make good, hard decisions going forward for 2022. Oh, I spent 50% of my income in advertising. Did I make any of that money back? And if I'm not making money from certain places, let's take that money that we spent and move it into another place. So that's one thing. Those are a couple of things that you can look out for as a business owner. Just a couple of reports you can pull. Look and pulling them in percentages, making sure that you are using your money in a proactive way, not reacting to what you've spent, but use 2022 to really be proactive in it. Next, we'll talk about as a small business owner, you have contractors that you work with. If you're a single member, you have contractors. If you're a big business and you have employees, you need to make sure that you are on top of getting out your 1099s accurately and that your W-2s are filed accurately also. I have a client right now and we're going through the process. She was using a payroll service to pay her employees, but then she was also with bonuses. And if something got missed to put on payroll or whatever, she was paying them with Zelle and with checks, but she wasn't reporting it to the payroll service that she was writing these bonuses and reimbursements and things of that nature. So now their W-2 is off. And she's already sent out her W-2s to all of her employees because it is the middle of January now. And so now it's a scramble to get back through and make sure that the W-2s are corrected, making sure that they're reporting the right numbers, because that at the end of the day, one, big no-no if you're not reporting the right amounts to the IRS, but two, it's something that she has to eat. She then has to eat that money that she is not reporting correctly to the IRS for something else, not wages. So just making sure that those things are correct and that they're tracked and that they're cared about is something really important for small business owners to make sure that they are doing. Are there any questions so far? I know I'm going kind of fast and blah, so any questions? No? Okay, cool. Well, then I'll just keep going. So the thing that I want to kind of do an exercise on are, where do you feel like right now in your finances you are? How are things feeling for you? Do you feel like you're prepared for the next year? Are you working with somebody that is doing this for you? Do you have somebody in guidance? How does everybody feel? Like scale 1 to 10, how do you feel on your finances? Don't all rush to answer.
I am very on top of it, and I wasn't always.
Yeah.
And here's what I will tell you, that I used to just leave. This is going to make you sick to your stomach, people. So like, get ready. I used to leave at least $150,000 at the IRS because I never knew. I was so far behind in my bookkeeping. I never filed until October, and I was so far behind, I didn't even know what the real year was going to pan out, and I never wanted to owe penalties and interest. So literally, I'm like, oh, I have $150,000 refund. Let it ride. Let it ride, because I could not stand to owe penalties and interest.
Yeah.
And I had no idea where I stood. We were that far.
Isn't it though the saying that the cobbler's kids never have shoes?
Well, it's not in Hey Taxi, silly. This was in my event company. It was in my event company. And it was like, it just took that long to get everything caught up. And we were never caught up. So anyway, that's what happens. That's what happens when you're not on top of your shit.
Right. And when you're not being proactive to it, you're reacting, and then you're leaving all of that money there. And that's just a lot. That's a huge pill to swallow. And getting into the habit of being proactive in your finances, it's a big mindset change to want to be like that, because it's a very scary, like, I feel like finances are a very scary thing for people. And that's why people they would rather not know their numbers, because it's just easier to know there's money in the bank. I can pay for these things. It's fine. It's fine. As my 3-year-old said, it's fine. Everything's okay. That's just my experience.
Yeah.
Missy, how do you feel?
Until they realize that there's no money being withheld from their paycheck. There's no it comes as a shock to business owners. The whole self-employment tax thing is just like,
yeah, it's a huge shock to them, especially when people go from being a W-2 into being self-employed, and then they didn't realize in the first year that all of that money at the end that they've been taking from their business, or that's left over, gets their self-employment tax. And then they see that tax bill, and it's a huge hit to the chest that for those first couple of years, when you're just like, what? I didn't know I was supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Missy, did you have something?
Oh yeah. So I am, I do all of our books for my husband's construction company. And so I do all of my stuff too. Mine's not as complicated as his, but yeah, so I've got boxes of receipts because we keep all of our receipts. We don't hardly have any emailed. I have more emailed than he does. But I'm not good at keeping up to date. So that's always been a struggle. And so like right now, I think I'm on maybe September or October from last year, and then putting in all the numbers and everything. So yeah, definitely it would be nice to be able to stay caught up on that. So I don't know where I fall on that scale of 1 to 10 or whatever you said, but definitely need improvement.
Are you using a software or anything right now?
Well, I'm one of the Excel people. So I have all my stuff in Excel because we just never did QuickBooks. And so we just never did. And now it's like, we talked about it and I'm like, I think I can do like all of the businesses in there and this and that. And he's like, well, if we're going to retire early, do we really need that expense now for like 3 years or something? I'm like, I don't know. So, I don't know. But yeah, I'm an Excel person, but I have a whole thing and I take it in and I go in and I sit with my accountant. And actually, I have learned your accountant, they don't catch everything and they change things. I thought I always looked over my stuff and was like thinking that they had the right numbers in, but they don't always. And there were things that they were taking off and I'm like, well, that's an expense. Why is that not claimed and this and that? And so I had a long conversation with the owner of the CPA company that we use locally. And I said, I will give you 1 more year and you're going to do them as the owner and I'm going to sit there while you do them. And if you're not okay with that, I'm okay with going someplace else. Just give me all my records. Well, they were okay with that. And so he is, he's pretty sure he's going to make me happy this year. So we will see.
Yeah. And I mean, so I like to tell people that, especially with taxes and everything, that your budget, your finances, it's a very living, breathing thing. And rules change when it comes to your taxes, and accountants and CPAs, we are human and things do get missed, and it's not the greatest thing in the world. Things do get missed and people are human. So that's unfortunate. But when it comes to like, it's a very I like to think of tax code as it's very gray to me. It's very up for perception and it's up to your comfort level of risk as to how you put numbers. What are things that you as a small business write off? What's your comfort level in audit risk as to how you're putting things on your taxes? And that's why I like running your statements on percentages, because when you are put into the database and there is a risk put onto you, like you are supposed to fall for your code, you're supposed to fall into certain percentages based off your income, your expenses, and the things that you're claiming as to what kind of audit risk you're falling into. And so it's really about the risk that you are willing to take as a business and as a person, and then what kind of risk your CPA is willing to take also, because they're putting their name on those taxes. Dawn, I would love to hear your thought on that.
Well, I was just going to say, so for example, to your point, for example, like I'm getting ready next week, I'm doing Business Builders Boot Camp.
Yeah.
It's a 3-hour presentation. It's a really big deal for us. We drive people to it. If we do well, last time we had 100 people registered and I was on for 3 hours. And so in preparation for that, I just went to the hair salon and had my hair colored because I didn't want to show up with roots. And for me, how I show up is important. It's part of my brand. I'm a speaker. I can't be speaking with roots. Hello, people. Like that's not, I can't, you know. And so I put the receipt through my business. Now, so I'm interested to hear what you think about that.
So, I mean, it kind of depends.
Because we've had this conversation.
You and I have had this conversation, and actually, I was just looking through your stuff today, and I'm like, okay, Colleen and I need to sit down and talk. And it really comes back to the feeling of the CPA that's doing the taxes. I personally don't think it's a write-off. I don't think getting your hair colored is a write-off. I don't think I'm less advert to taking a lot of risk when it comes to those things. I think that it comes down to each client and what kind of risk you're willing to take. If that's a risk you're willing to take.
Right. And so I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, I don't mind being put on the spot.
And I respect your opinion and I'm going to take it. And if the IRS comes back and says, you just got audited and we're not allowing it, I'm like, oh, well, nothing.
And that's just a thing that okay, so your taxes gets pulled off.
Right.
It is what it is.
Like nothing ventured, nothing gained. And I feel like it's a defensible position.
Right. And that's the thing that I'm learning. And that's the thing that I'm trying to take away. I personally am trying to take away from anything that has to do with your taxes. It's all about having to be able to defend yourself, defend your decisions to the IRS when you're put on the spot.
Right. So for example, I went to my accountant and I said, what about my gym membership? And you can look up in a million places, you can't write off your gym membership.
Yeah.
You can't write off your gym membership. I said, I understand that. And I can show you that I joined this gym because of this class that I go to. I wear my gear, I bring my samples, and I can show you that I have signed up 10 women in that class into my business. It is a client acquisition cost.
That is completely defendable. And then the clothing that you're wearing.
Okay, well, we'll take it. Okay, that's fine. We'll take it. So it's like
all about defending yourself.
It is. And so that's what people don't understand.
And that's why I say the taxes are very gray. It's very perception to different people on how they view things. And I completely agree with you. And so I would actually, on your side, I would agree with you that your gym membership, if you are signing up clients, if you are advertising your services, you are taking on new acquisition from it, I think that's justifiable. And then it just comes down to, is the auditor going to think it's justifiable also?
And that'll be what it'll be. Like I'm more interested in moving forward and trying, right? Than not. Like if you don't try, the answer is no.
It's always no.
And you've lost the money. So
I
you
agree.
try, and then, nothing ventured, nothing gained. But I also think that, so to that point, and this is what I tell people all the time, is that, like, so it's not like, because if you go out and search, is my gym membership a write-off? The answer will be no. Like
Oh
that,
yeah, all day.
go out on the internet and look at IRS code or whatever, but then there's this conversation, and that's what I tell people. And you've got to be willing to have the conversations. You've got to be educated enough to be an advocate for yourself, and you've got to be working with somebody who would.
And then to your point, then when you're doing that, when you are spending the money out of your business account for that, keeping those receipts, making sure that you're documenting what clients did you bring on from that,
Right.
keeping some form of documentation of saying these were how many people I brought in. It was worth the revenue that I made, was worth the cost that I paid for this, and then being able to back it up in writing. Absolutely.
Yes.
I think that's great. I just don't know if I would say that your clothing is a write-off if you're a speaker, or your hair is. That's
I'm
what
not
I would.
trying to write off my clothing. I don't
No,
think
I'm-
that's,
In defense, I'll speak on that one because I hired a stylist this year
oh,
and paid a lot of money, right? And hired a stylist that changed up like my clothes, but I paid for her too, right? And the photography shoots that I do that go toward my brand, which are the photos I have to take for the pictures that I use in all my branding. So I look at that as that's my image. And if that's my image, then that is part of, right? Hair, I could go either way on that. Nails, I could go either way on that. But when I hire someone to work with me, like if I were to hire a marketing specialist for image to work with me, that's a write-off in a business. So to me, what I pay for a stylist would be a write-off. I also kind of see like Missy, her
Well, and
products. Go ahead.
No, and it also comes down to when your tax preparer is doing your overall taxes, they have to know the big picture of what's going on in your life.
Glad
They
you
really
said
should know. And like, I like working with people personally because I want somebody to know, what are my overall goals in my life? Like, where do I want to go? Like, if I want to get into investing, what does my tax return have to say to make me look good to a bank so that I can get approved for a loan, so that I can get into real estate investing? Like, and it comes down to a big picture. I think that, again, it's very breathable. It's very gray. You are probably right that those specific things you can write off as an expense, but your CPA is somebody that should be able to look at your overall picture, your business picture, and to have these different goals that you're trying to accomplish and see if it's worth writing off those things or not.
I
personally
agree.
or business.
1000%.
So it's
because I work with Ashley personally, as well as I have a CPA that files all my taxes that's been working with us for years for my husband's business, my business, all of that. What Ashley does is help me get everything in the buckets and put together all year long, so I don't have to do all that work. Then my CPA takes all of that and just boom,
and to like
creates all the
Missy's
stuff he
point,
creates. Yeah.
people have to go through all of those numbers. Like when your tax person is sitting there, they're looking through all of that, and they're making a decision themselves what kind of risk they're willing to put their name on. But then they're also hopefully making the right decisions for the business owner to make them look the best when they're going through.
And it should be my
filing.
decision.
Absolutely.
I should be counseled, right, Dawn? That's
Oh,
what
absolutely.
you're saying. I should be counseled and have the right people in my pocket. And this is one of probably the most important thing we could talk about on here today, which is have the people in your corner that are educated, that know the law, that know, that educate you. You have a good open conversation with them. Let them know what your purpose is, what your plan is with your business, why you buy all those products, Missy, right? It's about representing your brand. It's about you have to use them to be the example for your clients to purchase them, all those things, right? That's a tax write-off. The benefit is that you get the tax write-off, but what to Ashley's point, which is where my husband and I are running into like major snags right now, is because we've gotten so good at this, these are tax write-offs. These are tax write-offs. This is how much we pay ourselves on W-2s. So our tax, levels here on what you owe. The banks look at you and say, you don't make enough money to qualify for anything. Well, we all know that's crazy because we have plenty of money to pay our bills. Do you want us to pay cash? I'm confused.
Right.
On
I've
why
been
they
there.
won't- right.
I've been there.
They won't
Can
lend
I-
to you. So because of that, you have to understand and have an educated conversation like I'm doing with Ashley right now, which I'm doing with my other CPA right now, which is this is our goal in investments. This is what we need to be able to borrow for investments. This is what we need to be able to do in the next year to two. How do I have to change? And I'm not educated in this area, nor do I want to sit and learn how to do it all. I just need someone to counsel me and help me and say, okay, this is what you should be doing. You really need to increase your payroll, or you need to lower your draws, or you need to lower your expenses. Now, you might say, well, if I have all these expenses in my business, how do I lower them? It's reported lowering. It's not actually lowering your expenses. You might say, well, I have to have this marketing. I have to have this. Okay, that's fine. But what you're reporting is changed so you can show how much you're really making.
And that's why it's really good to have somebody that is, I want to almost say like intertwined, that's invested, that wants to know and be a little more personal. Like you should not
Well,
just
that's who you
be-
are to me. Like, you
Right.
know my life. I come
yeah.
to you and say, I need these changes, or I talk to my CPA. And
Oh,
for
yeah.
me to be able to get qualified for funding, we have to change my payroll. You're like, okay, what are we changing it to? What do you want to do? You know, for me in my life, I need someone to take care of the day-to-day, which is what Ashley is for me. But I know that a lot of other clients use her at an elevated, for more than that. And I probably use her at a minimal because I have a CPA and someone else. Now, by the way,
Right. And that's what I'm saying for like
CPA does
overall,
nothing.
everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody should have somebody. Yeah. Everybody should have somebody that is somebody that knows your goals, your aspirations, and how to make you look the best for that.
Hey, Deb, did you have a question? Let me, I can't unmute you, but you can unmute yourself. Your hand's up, and I want to give you a chance to ask your question. But I don't think I can unmute you. I can just ask you if you want to unmute yourself. Oh, there you go.
Good morning.
Hi.
Morning.
Sorry, it took me a second to get back. Let me look back here a moment. I had just a couple quick questions in the beginning and missed your moments that you asked if there was any questions. I just recently filed for divorce last month. I've been separated 2 years. We are divvying up businesses, monies, assets, selling things off. It's going to be one hell of a tax mess, if you will, for the year.
Girlfriend. Been there.
Yeah. And so Ashley recommended QuickBooks, which is what we've used, or my husband used for the business. But I'm curious, what is a good software program to use as a individual when you are going to have investments and various things that the accountants are going to have to keep an eye on, over the next few years while we get paid out for a business or this and that?
So for software wise, I think Quicken, so it's not something I use. I don't use a personal software. I know Intuit does have Quicken, which is the personal counterpart to how QuickBooks is. So getting something like that set up, you could track your personal investments, your liabilities, all those things into it. So you can definitely use something like Quicken to keep track of all of that. And then obviously for your business, make sure that you have a QuickBooks or something set up that you can track all of the business stuff in there. And man, my heart goes out to you. I don't envy that position.
Well, it's been a process, that's for sure. And I'm actually extremely excited that I'm at this point. Also, you talk about, financial advisors, CPAs, Who do I talk to first?
What do you mean for knowing?
Well, to get set up, is it my CPA? Is it a financial advisor? Because I think you guys were also going to talk, I was hoping today, about investing and things.
So I would say, I personally would say a CPA, because they need to know your tax situation. I think a financial advisor would come after that. And I think that in conjunction, the bookkeeper goes with a CPA, like having all of all of the, because a bookkeeper is different than a CPA. The bookkeeper is the person in the day-to-day doing the data entry, making sure that everything's smoothly done for the CPA. The CPA is the big picture person that at the end of the year is filing your taxes throughout the year, helping you make decisions. And then the financial advisor is somebody that is helping look with your overall picture and to make decisions for the future. So I really think a CPA is more of the in the moment type person.
Okay, yeah, because we've had a
Yeah.
we've had a firm for quite a while, 20 years actually. So I was going to use them for a while until we got through this transition, and then try to find somebody that wasn't, $450 an hour.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I think Ashley, you and Deb should have a conversation to kind of understand, a little bit more in depth after this of where she's at and what she has and what the immediate need is, to direct her in the right area. Because you're right,
Okay.
Deb, this is like a whole new world, right? It was
Yep.
for me when I got divorced, and I was excited when that happened and what all came along with that. But there's just a lot of tedious tasks, and you want to make sure you're doing it right from the beginning and setting yourself up for success. So having someone be able to look over all of that and then give you the next step of recommendations would be the best. And Dawn Cermak is backing me up here in the chat if you can't see it. She
I
said,
saw it.
best decision she ever made, right? Was getting divorced.
Yeah.
And she too was excited. And it's a new world. And then we get to choose how, we work with people and who those people are, and have more awareness and control over all of our finances and our future. It's a beautiful feeling to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
We're
can't
glad
Thank
that
you.
you're here today. We are.
Thank
We're
you.
glad that you're here today. And I didn't want to get too deep into investing. And we haven't had a conversation or a call yet about investing. And that's something I'm happy to touch on because my husband and I do some investing. I think Dawn does some investing as well. And we find that, there are a few women that are interested in learning more about how to invest. I think the most important step at this moment in conjuncture for anyone on this call or where they're at is to set yourself up for investing, right? So setting yourself up financially for it, for tax purposes for it, understanding borrowing other people's money for investing, or borrowing the money yourself for investing versus cash down. And I have several people I can bring in to have those conversations in different areas about investing. But I definitely feel like, Deb, right now for you and kind of where my husband and I are, luckily I found someone after the divorce that actually is on the same page with me. That was a prerequisite in getting married again, is he's on the same page with me with everything. So, we're setting ourselves up for that and have started doing investments, but it's an education of learning of the best ways to do it, how to start, everyone has their opinion. So Dawn was saying she would love to hear about it. So we'll bring someone in to have those conversations a little bit deeper on investments, and be sure to invite you all to it, because there's so many different ways that you can invest, even at a very low investment rate. Most people think, well, if I'm investing in something like real estate, I have to come up with, $50,000 or $700,000 or whatever it may be. And that's really not true. There's a ways that you can invest at a much lower rate in special clubs like my husband and I are in, and things of that nature. So there's different ways that we can do that.
Well, so like that's the gist of what I've got going on today.
Yeah, so tell them what you do for people that maybe don't have a bookkeeper, need someone to assist them like I do on a day-to-day basis, because I run a couple different businesses, so I need help in different areas. And I just, numbers for me, I love money, and I love adding up money and how much money I have, and I love numbers of all of that, but I do not like to do my bookkeeping every single month. I feel like it's a task. Like I love beautiful newsletters and what they represent and how it engages people to be able to go out and, attend events and, grow their, expansion of their influence and all of that. But I don't like to put the newsletters together, right? I love what they represent. So again, I put people in my corner that take care of things for me so I don't have to do that. And that's what Ashley does for me on a day, a day-to-day, month-to-month. And then my CPA is my overall big picture person who knows what we're doing with our money, where we want our money to go, what we want to be able to qualify for, how our businesses look. He's kind of the big picture of my personal and my business for both my husband and I, since we own, businesses.
Yes. So there are a couple of things, and I'm just grabbing the link real quick. So right now, because everything is at the end of 2021, and there's a lot of people, I'm going to offer a cleanup special of all of like your data entry, all of getting your 2021 up to date so that you are CPA ready. It is $15.97. It includes getting everything all spotless for 2021 so that you can have good reports to give to you or to your CPA so that everything is done and ready. So that is the first link that I put out. The second link I'm going to put out is just to set up time to talk with me. I do offer full service bookkeeping for everybody. I do your data entry. We do budgets. We do forecasting for the year. There's all sorts of things that come with a monthly bookkeeping. So if that's something that you're interested in talking about, here is the link for that. And that is pretty much the gist of Ashley. And sorry for my voice today. It's felt kind of funny. It's getting better, but it's very blech.
At least you're not coughing every 2 seconds like I am since Halloween.
Yeah, not coughing as much, sounding like a boy sometimes, but whatever.
I dropped your links out on Facebook, so everyone has the cleanup as well as connecting with you. So those are out there for anyone that wants to connect with you. So that makes it easy for you to have that. Did anyone else have any other questions? L. White. I want to say I thought that was LaDonna, but I can't remember. I know you're on mute and you're listening along with us. Did you have any questions or any input? We want to make sure you have the opportunity now to say that since you're here with us live. And if not, that's okay too. Any last questions for Ashley before we wrap up today and I talk about what we've got going on for next Tuesday, which is going to be so much fun, for January 25th? While you're thinking about your question, I'm just going to go ahead and drop it in the chat. January 25th is going to be Katrina Sawa. She's going to be talking about automating your biz and skyrocket your profits. She is like the automation queen. Katrina is, and she always has great ideas, and I implement them into my business all the time. It's things I just didn't ever think about. And so she's great at automation. So that's a good one for you to attend. If you don't or do have automation in your business, she'll tell you one more thing that you can automate that you didn't realize.
And to say, where's the link? I want to sign up.
Yeah, I'll promise you that. So did I drop the link in?
No, you just put the title.
Okay, here comes the link. My bad. Thanks for saying that. I totally forgot to drop the link.
Because I love everything automation.
Yeah, here's the link for you to be able to sign up for next week's Teaching Tuesday, how to automate your biz with Katrina Sawa. Any last questions before we finish up today?
Oh.
All right. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your genius with us. We need that, especially when it comes to bookkeeping. And all of you, watch out. We'll do another masterclass coming up here in investing. And I know that we're doing a masterclass coming up pretty soon about how to get on more stages, and that's coming up on January 25th. I should probably have.
I just got asked to be an interviewer for Voices of Women.
Oh,
that's exciting.
I love that. That's great. You're like an MC.
They reached out to me.
That means you're doing something right.
It's happening. That's so great. I love that. It's great.
I know. Me too.
Yeah.
I said yes, even though it's the same day as JV Talent and the same day as our speed networking. I'm like, I'm sure I'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
Sure, I'll figure it out. And I've never actually been an interviewer before. So that's a different skill set to be a good interviewer. So I'll learn something and I'll meet amazing women, and they picked me.
That's so amazing. I'm so happy for that. Yeah, that's so great.
And you know what it was? She said, it's the way you show up. It's everything. I think it was because my roots weren't showing, Ashley. So I'm go.
She was like, she's acceptable to show up now.
That's right. No roots. I will defend that position all day long. I have
Hey,
no
that
issue.
is your position to defend.
Well, and you know, here's the thing. So here's the gray, right? And I know we're wrapping up, but people will say, well, I'm on Zoom all day long, so I need to, like, my hair needs to be good. Okay. Versus I'm interviewing 100 women on Voices of Women. I'm hosting 100 people and I'm the star. Like, that's who they're going to be focused on versus I'm on Zoom all day long. It's two different things.
Yeah.
Totally.
So that's I can make that I'm okay. And if they take it back, they take it back. Whatever.
I mean, if the IRS wants to go after that you're getting your hair done 5 times a year, I mean, they've got bigger fish to fry, but.
Well, that's true too. Although it is a small car payment. I'm not going to lie.
It is.
It really is, though.
All right, ladies, thank you for being here. Ashley, thank you so much. We'll see you all next week at Katrina's Teaching Tuesday, all about automating your biz. See you all next Tuesday. Bye-bye, ladies. Have a great week. Bye-bye.